Welcome into the Pro Football Radio Podcast. We are at episode number 14, and this is our post-draft episode. We will get into all the wins and losers. This is your host here with Da Puma.
You forgot what's your name?
My name is Cheema, and your name is Da Puma.
Jesus, dude, I know Game of Thrones is coming on, but we gotta lock this shit up for at least an hour.
Oh, dude, right? I can't wait. It's another hour and a half. And basically half the Game of Thrones cast will be killed off tonight. This is the big battle scene tonight between the White Walkers and everybody in Game of Thrones.
Freaking 86 minutes? Did I see that right? 86 minutes?
Yeah, dude. I'm in for a marathon tonight.
That's a movie.
I know.
It's a show.
Well, it's the last six episodes of this season are just basically movies in themselves.
Well, I was gonna say, I feel like the series in a whole is almost, we're cramming an episode and a half in one episode, right?
Yeah.
There's so many content and storylines and characters and shit like that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I got it.
Yeah, I've seen all the memes out there saying, "Get ready for tonight. Everybody's dying."
Hey, brace yourself. There's no bathroom breaks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of movies, man, I saw Avengers Endgame yesterday.
Yeah?
The movie that grossed $1.2 billion in its first weekend.
Christ, that was a marathon movie too, right? That was longer than The Godfather.
3 hours, yeah.
Jesus
3 hours.
Christ.
I had to stop drinking 3 hours beforehand, and I still had to go pee once in the middle of the movie. I missed quite a bit.
You didn't bring a bottle?
I did not bring a bottle.
Jesus, you didn't plan ahead there, kid.
Yeah, and it was a good movie. I have some conflicting views, and obviously I won't spoil anything for anybody listening here, but there's a lot that I have to. I was telling Brennan off the podcast that I have to watch it again just to kind of solidify my views on the whole thing. There's some stuff I liked, some stuff I really didn't like. Obviously, the big battle scene at the end, which everybody knows is coming. I'm not spoiling anything here, but it's a big, tremendous battle scene that is one of the best. It's probably the best battle scene of all time in a comic book movie. It's just unreal. But other than that, there's some stuff that didn't land for me.
It definitely sounds like one of those movies where again, there's so many storylines involved, and this seems like it's the checkmate version. Whatever storyline is coming to an end. So there's so much stuff going on that you might have to watch it twice just to take everything in.
Yeah, and after 22 movies in a span of 10 to 11 years.
School. This started when we were in high school.
Yep. The first Iron Man movie
was Iron Man.
Yep. The first Iron Man movie that came out. Dude, it's been a long road, and apparently this is the end of phase 1, and after this is going to be a phase 2.
Right, with Captain Marvel leading the whole
brigade.
I'm guessing, just based on the movies.
Have you seen Captain Marvel yet?
Not yet.
That's actually a really good movie as well.
Okay. It looks great.
Yeah.
So Brie Larson's awesome. So.
Yeah. You know what's funny about Brie Larson? I was watching an interview with her. She never finished college. She never went to college.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
Living the dream.
By
the way, she's awesome in Scott Pilgrim versus the World. So.
She was in there as well?
Yeah.
You mentioned that. I should watch that movie.
It's a good movie. If you like comic book stuff, I'm not saying it's like Marvel versus DC.
Yeah.
But it's a good, it's actually based on a comic book, and a lot of decent, sneaky good actors are in that movie. Yeah. So it's good.
Cool,
it's good. It's definitely on Netflix, so check it out.
Nice. So cool, man. How was your weekend? Do you have a good time?
It was good. We celebrated a true friend of the podcast, Sarah O's surprise birthday. Her birthday falls on May 8th. Get shot for this.
Yeah, May 8th is her birthday, but it was one of the things where we set it up a few weeks beforehand, so it'd be a total surprise birthday party, right?
Right. Not gonna lie, I was expecting her to walk in and start punching people, because I didn't think she didn't strike me as a surprise person. So I was getting ready, am I gonna get assaulted?
I was just hoping she would cry at the table. I'm like, listen, you know what I'm saying? I was hoping she would cry at the table, but
it's a great time. It was a good restaurant, Heirloom in New Haven.
Yep.
Good times.
Yeah,
good food.
Good stuff. Yeah.
We had to wait a long time for the food,
dude. Oh my god, dude, it was unreal. It was like a good hour,
dude. The food was good.
Yeah.
If the food was bad and I had to wait an hour and a half, the poor waiter would have heard it.
Yeah.
I'm not one to say anything. Did you realize,
I didn't bring this up last night, did you realize how long he took to get through his specials? Dude, it took forever for him to get through the specials.
Well, you know what? It's almost like he's performing in front of a stage. There's 10 plus people, and
but don't perform for 2 hours. This would be our specials are 1, 2, 3, boom. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, he probably heard you with your big personality comment. It was oh shit, I better show up for my special bit, or this fucking Buckeye over here is gonna have me wear it on my way out to taking a friggin' drink order, man.
I don't know, man.
Either way, those of y'all that are in New Haven, Heirloom, you want to have, really nice dinner, nice date location.
The place is high quality. I will say that. It was a very high quality place.
The drinks were great.
Yep.
So,
I'll give you that.
Let's not slow this train down, Jay. We got a lot of stuff to get into.
We do have a lot of things to get to, and obviously, being post-draft, our biggest storyline will be the draft itself. But I think we'll have tabled that for just a little bit. I think there's a bigger pressing situation we have to talk about.
Yep.
The Tyreek Hill situation is unfolding in Kansas City, and it's starting to get worse and worse for him by the day.
Mm-hmm.
It's egregious what happened, and I'll have Brandon give you a rundown of everything here in a second, but I felt that we should start the podcast off with that.
We wouldn't be doing our podcast, right? I know, we're 14 episodes in, and we have, between 50 and 500 listeners, but we wouldn't be doing the show justice if we just glazed over that like the rest of the networks. So.
Exactly. Like most of the networks being ABC, NFL Network, ESPN, they didn't cover this. And what's happening with Tyreek Hill is very interesting. And I think as just decent human beings that me and you are, I think we owe it to just everybody to talk about that first and discuss the ramifications and what happened. So I'll turn the floor over to you, get the details out of this, but it's interesting.
Right. So for those of you that haven't been following, this has been going on for almost, we could say 2 months. We could say essentially started about a week or two before the whole Robert Kraft investigation started, right? So lately, bringing up to speed, he was under investigation for child abuse at his household stemming from his 3-year-old son breaking his arm. So Wednesday, the district attorney in the county that he lives in announced that charges would not be filed against Hill. The DA stated that a crime occurred, but we did not have enough evidence to prove who committed the crime against the 3-year-old child. And in that same press conference, the DA came out and said that as a father of 3, and based on the evidence that we have so far, it is frustrating that we don't have a case to bring against the family members.
Yep.
So 1 hour before the draft started at 8 o'clock, about 6:30, 7 o'clock, KCTV5 releases an audio recording of Tyreek Hill's wife and Hill himself on tape going through an airport, I think it was in Dubai, saying that the wife states that she, quote, rode for him with the detective in Child Protective Services. She also was on record saying that their child, the son, 3-year-old son, does not respect Hill but is terrified of him. And then you clearly hear Hill say that, "You need to be afraid of me too, bitch." Is also recorded saying that his then girlfriend, now wife, did not ride for him in 2014. 2014 was when he was kicked off of the Oklahoma State University football team for assaulting his girlfriend, now wife, by strangling her and punching her in the stomach when she was 8 weeks pregnant at the time.
The man choked and punched her out
in the stomach.
While she was pregnant.
In the stomach.
That's incident number 1.
Yep. And then, like I said, was dismissed from college, and he fell like a rock in the draft, and the Kansas City Chiefs picked him up. So that's where we leave off right now with the Chiefs.
The fact that the college team had the morality to let him go, and the Kansas City Chiefs still have him on the active roster is a fucking egregious mistake
this is before Joe Mixon in college.
Exactly.
This is before Joe Mixon.
Exactly, right?
This is like pre-Ray Rice, I think. Might be around that time.
So it's very obvious something happened in that household. That kid's arm broke somehow. And obviously, I cannot say it with 100% certainty, but I think Tyreek Hill was the person that broke that kid's arm.
Oh, yeah. Did you hear the tape?
I did hear the tape, yes.
Dude, for those of you that haven't heard the tape, find it. You only need to listen to it one time.
It's not good, dude. It's not good. And the line that really got me was the one where they described how he would punch the kid, how he would say, "Open your arms, hold them out," and then he would punch the kid in the chest. Right. And apparently what happened was, doing some more research on this, is Tyreek Hill gets very frustrated when the kid cries. When a 3-year-old cries, apparently he thinks it's not something that should be happening.
Which was reality the natural thing.
That's what kids do. That's why kids cry all the time. It is what it is, you know what I'm saying? And his resolution to that was to punch the kid in the chest with his arms wide out.
I'll give you something to cry about.
Exactly. That's exactly what he said. And the fact that he's still a Kansas City Chief, infuriates me. Listen, I don't have a kid myself, and I have said this 3 or 4 times on the podcast, but the NFL should take a hard stance on violence, whether it's against women, whether it's against kids, whether it's against another human being, whether it's male or female. The NFL has a chance again now to stand up and say, you are not good enough for us, Tyreek Hill.
What's it going to take?
Listen, and it's funny because 2 months ago, a month ago, when this thing first started happening, right? The whole investigation came out about his kid breaking his arm. A lot of people defended him, right? But now that we have an audio recording, those same people are against him.
And you can clearly hear it.
It's the same exact thing with Ray Rice, Kareem Hunt, now Tyreek Hill, where there's some sort of physical audio, video showing this stuff. That's when people's sensitivities go through the roof. That's when they jump in and say, you know what, this is wrong. Right. Well, why wasn't this said like a month ago? Why wasn't this, when this came out that he's been investigated for his kid's arm being broken? That should be a red flag right there. Like, why did it wait till now when the fucking audio came out for them to make a move about it?
Right.
So with the gist being, after the draft, the Chiefs GM came out and said, he is not going to be attending team activities, and we will make the right decision on Kyler Murray at the time that when they collect all the evidence.
Tyreek Hill, not Kyler Murray.
I'm sorry, yeah. Tyreek Hill,
we're not indicting.
I'm pulling a Stephen A. Smith here where he calls Russell Wilson Russell Westbrook all the time.
Yeah.
But no, he is away from the team right now, but he's still on the active roster. Kansas City Chiefs need to let him go. And the NFL needs to make a harsh stance and say you are not good enough for our league.
Right.
You got chance one when you choked out and punched out your girlfriend when she was pregnant, and now you got your chance. This is your second chance apparently, and now you can't even make this work. You know what I'm saying?
And like part of his deal with when he was in college, he pled guilty. He had to do therapy. He had to do community service, and if he met all those requirements, it was expunged from his record. Clearly, the therapy didn't work. And here's my biggest problem. And when will the Kansas City Chiefs learn? Like, you had Kareem Hunt, okay? And then you have this guy that's assaulting a defenseless 3-year-old son who is doing what exactly a 3-year-old does, which is cry. Like,
instead of holding the kid and comforting him, he tries to punch him in the fucking chest.
Why is the kid crying? Did he fall down? Is the kid hungry? Mm-hmm. Do we know why he was crying? I don't know, because I'm not in the Hill House. But it doesn't even go back to those two jackasses. You could go back to Javon Belcher when he assaulted his girlfriend. That was an abusive relationship. And then they had an argument. He straight up killed her in their apartment, drove to the practice facility, spoke to the general manager at the time, I think it was Scott Pioli, and the head coach at the time.
Shot himself in the parking lot.
Romeo Crennel, and blew his head off in the parking lot. Like, wouldn't that be the international sign of maybe we should actually look at people's character when we start drafting them? If you think of the teams as a business, do you want to have someone with that record representing your business?
I would not, but apparently Glenn Dorsey's totally fine with drafting these players, you know?
Like, when does it stop? Like, is it going to take Tyreek Hill to possibly kill his entire family and then kill himself for anybody to friggin' learn? Like, does nobody learn from Ray Rice and Tyreek Hill and Kareem Hunt lying on tape? And then, let's see, what's the Cowboy's name? The guy that was with the
Randy Gregory?
Yeah, Randy Gregory.
Oh, that was pretty bad. Those pictures were pretty bad, dude.
Or Greg Hardy with the UFC. Now he's fighting in the UFC.
Hardy,
when does it end? Like, are people just gonna have to start killing people to get stuff?
Unfortunately, it's the sad reality we live in. It's the world we live in. At the end of the day, it's always about profits over people. I have the line where corporations will always overlook a defect in their product. Let's say Boeing, for example, took the 8X Max and still kept it in the year after the first line air crash. It's always profits over people, and they had a second crash just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And in the NFL, it's talents over people. At the end of the day, you can adjust that moniker from profits over people to talents over people just because the kid can run fast, and that's why he's on the...
But then here you have Madison Avenue wondering why women aren't tuning into friggin' football. Do you think they want to see someone that's beating the shit out of a 3-year-old kid and then their girlfriend or their wife or strangling them in fucking college? Like, do you think my girlfriend wants to watch that? I don't think she would want to watch that. Mm-hmm. I'm not speaking for her, but I would assume she probably wouldn't want to watch that. And then if you think about it, Josh Gordon has been suspended for weed.
All right, Stephen A. Smith.
Weed. He's been suspended longer for weed than people with short of Ray Rice than domestic violence. Like, are we seriously putting marijuana higher than beating the shit out of someone you live with? Fuck out of here with that. I work with kids, man. Like, I've worked with kids my whole life, and especially if you're fucking 3 years old, like, and they're just doing what they're naturally supposed to do, and you're just gonna like haul off and punch them in the face. Man, you should be hit with a fucking sledgehammer. Fuck out of here with that.
Yeah, these people have they're the scum of the earth. Simply put, if you put your hands on a female or a kid or even another male, truthfully, in my personal opinion, violence, there's no leeway for that at all. You're a piece of shit human being if you put your hands on another human being. Simply put,
right?
The NFL is always. They always react. They don't actually prevent stuff, right? Originally, when the Ray Rice thing came out, it was only a 2-game suspension. When the video leaked, then is when the uproar came. The uproar, and they said
the commercials would say, what was it like? It was almost like see something, say
so
something.
So what the NFL told you was the action of Ray Rice hitting that female, his fiance at the time, was okay for a 2-game suspension. It was only not okay when the video came. When the video came out and the uproar came, that's when it was not okay, and that's when he did more time. 2 games is absolutely nothing in this league. Tom Brady got a 4-game suspension for having the PSI level at a different.
Like for once, I could agree with you.
Put that in perspective. You know what I'm saying? The PSI.
They lost fucking draft picks, Jay.
Exactly. They lost draft picks, 4-game suspension. But Ray Rice almost killed this lady. You know what I'm saying? The way he hit her, dude.
And she fell. She could have cracked that head open on the railing in the elevator.
It was
and then he dragged her down the fucking hallway.
He dragged her. That's the worst part too.
And then again, you have a 3-year-old kid who's also on tape from the mom saying, why is he saying Daddy did this? Like.
So,
come on.
In that recording of Tyreek Hill, there's some serious red flags. This kid has some serious anger issues. He needs to get some help. I'm not making this about Tyreek Hill because he should be obviously the villain in this situation, but he does have a pattern of violence and anger. When she said he's afraid of you, right?
Not afraid, Jay. Terrified.
Right.
I'm afraid of spiders. I'm not terrified of them.
On top of that, he comes back and says, "You should be afraid of me too, bitch."
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck says that in real life? Like, who does that?
Right.
Dude has some serious anger issues, and the NFL has to come out. The worst part is the NFL hasn't issued a statement yet.
They haven't said shit.
They've been
I'm
quiet about
double
this
down
whole
on that real quick. But he even said, "You didn't ride for me in 14." When he strangled her unconscious and punched her in the stomach. Like, when does it stop? Like, again, I'm going to the extreme, but is it going to take for him to murder his family and go in a parking lot and blow his head off in the parking lot?
The fucked up part is, it still wouldn't be enough.
It probably still wouldn't be enough.
Still wouldn't be enough.
But, again, now to double down on, like, the NFL not covering it, the press didn't cover it. Like, it wasn't on the bottom line of NFL Network.
Yeah.
It wasn't mentioned in pre-show.
I'm starting to get really annoyed the fact that there's not enough heat on the Chiefs and Tyreek Hill about this.
ESPN. The only 2 instances where I saw anything mentioned up until I think it was round 2 of the NFL draft, it was the bottom line on CBS Sports where I was watching Boomer and Gio, and then it was Golick and Wingo's morning show where Golick went off the rails. He doubled down and tripled down on his comments.
And then on my end, the only places I saw it was Undisputed with Skip Bayless and Shannon, and Golick and Wingo as well. And that's the only places I've seen it. What does it say as a society that the New York Giants pick of Daniel Jones was splattered across every single media outlet in New York City, but this story wasn't even covered? Right?
It's pretty sad when, like, Bobby Legend, a friend of the podcast, I put something up on Twitter saying, "Am I missing something, or is major media not covering this?" And he said, because I'm from New Hampshire, you got Rock 101, the morning show.
Yep.
They were covering that. 98.5, the Sports Hub, they were covering that. And then I think WEEI was covering it. Why is it local radio is covering it?
That's a great point, because I listen to a lot of Ohio sports radio.
Did they cover that more
than
the major networks?
They did.
That's fucking bullshit.
And they went in hard. 97.1, The Fan, Common, and T-Bone, they covered the incident, and they went in hard on him. They called him a piece of crap and this and that.
Right.
But you are right. The local media market seem to have, I guess, they don't have a horse in the race here, so that's why they just go in hard on these domestic abuse. And
the messed up thing is too, and I swear to God, I'm going to wrap this up and we're going to go to the draft.
This is important. This is important. You know what I'm saying?
my thing is there was a pick in the first round. Jeffrey Simmons, he's from Mississippi State. Don't ask me what team he went to because I didn't write that down in my notes because I'm an idiot. But Daniel Jeremiah, astute NFL scout. He worked for the Ravens. He worked for a bunch of teams. He's now a talking head on the NFL Network. He was throwing Jeffrey Simmons under the bus for domestic dispute in college. Now, listen, I'm not giving Jeffrey Simmons a pass. But what I am saying to Daniel Jeremiah, I like you. I respect your work. But if you are going to if you're going to say shit about Jeffrey Simmons, are you going to keep that same energy with Tyreek Hill?
Yep.
Because I didn't hear shit about you about Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
The only time I heard anything regarding the Kansas City Chiefs on draft day was when they picked a fast wide receiver out of the University of Georgia. That's when Rich Eisen all of a sudden got a conscious. That's when Daniel Jeremiah doubled down. And then I think Peter Schrager was on there and then like a couple other people. But, like, really? We're not going to address the elephant in the room until the Kansas City Chiefs make a draft pick?
Yeah, it's bad, dude. And I guess we can wrap this up with just how we think it should resolve. And we already
Banned for life. It's simple. You have
same.
no business being in football.
Simply put, you do not deserve to be in the NFL. Right? Your second chance is taken away from another guy that didn't do anything wrong.
Thank you.
You know?
Yep.
So,
Florio brought that up, too.
Exactly,
right? Everybody.
So I'll give Matt props. Florio is the one guy that started his podcast / show off with talking about this over the NFL draft. And he said personally that on air that he would not cover the NFL anymore if he is not. He said he would sell the business off. And he could make a shit ton of money off that business. He started just like we did. Dude has a vision. He started 7-8 years ago, just like we did with this podcast, and then NBC came in and bought it up. You know what I'm saying? He still has controlling rights over that business, and he can sell it off and make his money and walk away. And he said, if he's still in the league next year, I will not be doing this anymore.
Right. There's no business.
Yeah.
Listen, you can say, oh my God, you're being hypocrites. You're covering a violent sport. There's a difference, people, between blasting an A-gap and sacking a quarterback or tackling a running back.
It's in the name of sport.
Or blowing up a wide receiver going across the middle. And then going home and looking at your significant other or your son and beating the shit out of them.
NFL players can protect themselves. They work out just like you do.
Right.
So when you inflict punishment on them, they can take it. They can absorb it. Their whole life is structured around working out, eating right to take those punishments. Right. When you go home and you beat the shit out of your wife and your kid, that shouldn't happen. Like in this day and age, I know it happens.
2019, Jay. Like, listen, we've talked about this in production. We come from a different time where, dude, I've had my back porch painted red.
Of course.
I've gotten spanked. Mm-hmm. I've gotten the soap. I got all that. But it wasn't because I was crying and I was an annoyance to my mom or dad.
Yep.
It was, okay,
I did something wrong.
You pulled your sister's hair, and now you're going to get a little discipline for that.
Yep.
And listen, I understand 2019, kid gloves, call it whatever you want. It's a different day and age. But there's no business for what he's doing.
Dude, listen, my parents are from the Middle East. They have an old way of thinking. But to this day, I'm not scared of my dad. I'm not terrified of my dad.
Right.
Like, he did punish me when I didn't do anything, when I did some wrong behaviors, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I was never afraid of my dad breaking my arm or doing something horrific. So there's a complete difference between, what Tyreek Hill did and just normal punishment for a kid. So regardless, man, it's just a sad situation, dude.
It's messed up. Listen, like I said, I've worked with children my whole life. I've worked at after school programs, before school programs. I've worked at middle school, and I've seen kids that come from damaged households. And there's nothing chaps my ass more than a grown ass adult assaulting a defenseless kid.
Yeah, does that make you feel strong? Like, what's the play there? Like, do you want to? Is it because you fight somebody else and you beat the shit out of you? You have to take it on their kid? Like, what's the deal here? You know what I'm saying?
Fuck out of here. So I'm apologizing in advance. I'm super passionate, but I'm not apologizing for.
No, you have to apologize for this shit. So regardless, we want to cover that before we get into the actual draft, just because it is a significant topic that nobody's talking about.
It had a huge effect on the Kansas City Chiefs draft.
Back
to the draft, because they took that speedy wide receiver out of the University of Georgia. I'm forgetting his name because I was too worked up about Tyreek Hill. But clearly, they are planning on life after Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
Because the guy is fast enough to operate in this Andy Reid offense with Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce and the whole shebang. So they're planning for life without him. And they should plan for life without him. And Andy Reid needs to learn to stop giving second chances to shit people.
I think it's not Andy Reid. I think it's Glenn Dorsey.
It's Glenn Dorsey. It's Andy Reid. Yeah. It's the owner. It's the Hunt family. Yeah. If the Hunt family is this, beacon of the NFL, they should friggin' know better by now after Belcher blew his head off in the parking lot.
It's 3 incidents now with the Belcher thing, with Kareem Hunt, and with Tyreek Hill.
Hell, even Larry Johnson.
Yeah, I forgot about that, yeah.
Fucking 4 people, man. One of them's dead? Come on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, well, I think we've made our views fairly clear on that. I think it's time to move on to the NFL draft.
On a lighter note,
on a lighter note, let's get back to some football. So the NFL draft came and went. A lot of great things happened. A lot of unexpected things happened.
Yes, they did.
The one thing that everybody saw coming was Kyler Murray did get selected by the Arizona Cardinals.
The worst kept secret.
The worst kept secret, right? Everybody hyped it up. Everybody wanted to throw misinformation out there. After the draft happened, there were some stories out there that the NFL actually not mandated, but they said very strongly to ESPN NFL reporters, unless you have firm confirmation, do not report who's the number 1 pick overall is. And firm confirmation will only come from the team. So it was like...
So essentially it was a WWE work for the draft.
Essentially what happened was for 2 months, they just took us for a ride.
Right. And then
took us for a ride every single week.
I love Ian Rappaport.
Yeah.
I love him. But I started to know it was BS when he tweeted, right before draft day, I think it was like maybe noon, being like, so sources indicate that the Arizona Cardinals brass has called Quinnen Williams and Nick Bosa to let them know that they're, air quotes, still in the running for the first pick. Yeah. Like, still in the running? Like, dude.
Yeah, come on, dude.
Just
come on.
Listen, don't take me for an idiot.
Yeah.
I might have been born at night, Ian, but I wasn't born last night. Okay?
Yeah, right. So they took him, and then they took him with the number 4 pick, and then they traded Josh Rosen off to the Miami Dolphins, which is absolutely awesome. I think it's a great fit for you guys.
I'm going to get into that part.
Yeah, right.
I love that draft. Happy man.
The pick itself, I don't have a problem with it. I know that a lot of people have issues with his height, and I do as well, and is that whatever it comes with Kyler Murray. But I think for the Cardinals and with the coaching staff they have now and how they want to run that air raid offense, it's clear that Kyler Murray is more suited to run that air raid offense than Josh Rosen. And I know Josh Rosen does have mobility as well, but it's not obviously as fast as Kyler Murray can get on the edge and make those plays, right?
Fair enough.
So I get that point, and I get why they picked him. I think Josh Rosen got an unfair shake in Arizona. I think with everything that's happened, we'll discuss that in a little bit as well, but I'm glad he moved on to Miami. But I do see why they made the move, and, it is what it is. Everybody saw it coming a mile away.
Right, and here's my bit about Kyler Murray. Like, listen, I've never questioned the talent. The talent's there, okay? But I just don't see it translating to the NFL. I don't like his character. Like, I'm a big picture guy. Mm-hmm. Like, Ryan Leaf had the talent, but he was a shit guy in the locker room, and he was a bad character guy. And here's the thing: like, in the air raid, do you need to be mobile?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you need to be Michael Vick mobile? Absolutely not.
Yeah, but I can see the point where Cliff said, well, I do have a mobile quarterback, but what if I got a super mobile quarterback to run the air raid offense?
But then it comes to my point, and to those of you that follow us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all that, I put a video up on Friday, and I was saying, how is it possible that Kyler Murray can succeed with a banged-up DJ, an old Larry Fitz, an unproven Christian Kirk, a banged-up Ricky Seals-Jones, a tight end, and a sieve of an offensive line. And Josh Rosen had those same tools and had, on top of that, had a shit offensive coordinator in Mike McCoy, a bad replacement offensive coordinator in Byron Leftwich, a head coach on a short leash in Steve Wilkes, a bad ownership group in the Bidwell family, and then a joke of a general manager in Steve Keim who traded up to pick him 10th.
Yep.
Like, at this point, clearly Keim has put himself, his scouts, and his entire front office, their ass on the line. Like, if this doesn't stick, Keim needs to be out of a job because he dodged a whole bunch of bullets over the last few years. They haven't been relevant since Cam Newton won the MVP, and that was 2015. When I've had better fantasy football drafts in the last 2 years than Steve Keim has had in actual football.
Sure, I get that.
Like, are you serious? You haven't done anything since Carson Palmer and Bruce Arians were running that offense.
Plus, he had a couple off the field issues as well, right? He got DUIs.
And here you are like, oh, Josh Rose is our guy for now. And then you have Dancing Cliff Kingsbury. He's our guy. He could run the air raid better than me. And then all of a sudden, like, you're saying you don't know what the first draft pick is?
Yeah.
Like,
listen, at the end of the day,
there's a reason why you're picking first.
I get the reason behind it. I get it. He fits your system. He fits what Cliff Kingsbury wants to do. On top of that, I know, maybe he is the next big thing, and you cannot afford to pass that up. Right. So I get it. I see what it is. Well, time will only tell how it works out.
We're not going to know within 3 years will be the measuring stick.
Now, we can both see how Arizona took Kyler Murray, right? We can both see why it makes sense. The one thing that doesn't make sense one bit is Daniel Jones going to the New York Giants. That was a pick that I think 99% of the people said, what the fuck is going on? Daniel Jones, who? I can truly say this, Brandon, in the days that pick happened on Thursday to Friday, Saturday, and today.
Our friend of the podcast, Jeff Moss, had the same reaction as you did.
I know of 2 people that defended that pick. One of them being you, and another person being on ESPN. Was it
Mel Kiper?
Was it Mel Kiper? Yeah. So those are 2 people that defended that pick. And
then I'll add to that, there was one person that actually had him going to the Giants in a mock draft, and that was Daniel Jeremiah of the NFL Network.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'll give the floor to you and let you get your let's get your thoughts on that, because I want to collect all my thoughts before I rail into Daniel Jones.
Here's my take. There's a lot of points here. Now, one, I'm not going to lie. I laughed at Jeff Moss's expense on draft day.
Dude, he was hurt. He was hurting, bro.
I was as shocked as everybody, because I was like, listen, I think they're taking defense. I didn't think they were taking a quarterback. Mm-hmm. I honestly did not think they were taking a quarterback at 6. I did not think they were taking a quarterback at 17. And after Jeff left, I looked at you on the couch after the 32nd pick, and I said, listen, I need to watch more tape of Daniel Jones before I actually come up with my own opinion.
The fact that you just said that right there should validate that he shouldn't be a 6th pick overall.
No, only because I didn't look at Daniel Jones. I looked at Dwayne Haskins, I looked at Kyler Murray, and I looked at Drew Lock.
Why was that?
Because everyone had them going higher.
Because they were talented. They were far superior talent-wise.
Let me finish my point. So, I looked at tape. I looked at an hour's worth of tape just to make sure I wasn't losing my
Did you watch his lowlights?
I watched everything. Okay. I watched Dan Orlovsky criticizing him. I watched Colin Cowherd throwing him under the bus. And here's the thing. Here's what I saw. He's, like I said in my mock draft, he's a big quarterback that can hit the underneath routes with no issue, can tuck the ball and run. In my opinion, he runs like Mitchell Trubisky. I mean, he had almost 200 total yards against North Carolina. He runs like Josh Allen. His air quote accuracy is low. Yeah, my accuracy would be low if my wide receivers were dropping at least 30 passes in a season. They were second in the nation last year in drop passes. His arm is weak. Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning. They're not known for cannons. They're known for arms that are good enough to get the ball down deep.
They're known for being precise.
So if he had wide receivers that could catch the fucking ball, he'd be precise too. I'm not saying he's Joe Montana in college, okay? I'm not saying that, if these guys caught the ball, there were mistakes. He didn't look off safeties. He held the ball too long. But if you look at if we were able to get scouting reports for all 32 teams, or if any fan was able to get scouting reports for all 32 teams, I guarantee you there's not one team that has one quarterback in this draft as first round talent all across the board. I guarantee it. And here's my thing. He fits the fucking offense. Like Pat Shurmur, his offense is based on shallow routes and dig routes to open up the underneath. If Daniel Jones is able to hit the underneath and the intermediate routes with accuracy, there's a fit right there. Obviously, you're going to use motion to manipulate coverage, especially if he's a rookie, whatever. And then you look at Sterling Shepard and you look at Golden Tate. What do they have in common? yards after the catch. They feast on that. So if you're telling me that this offense worked with Kyle Rudolph, Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, and Case Keenum, but can't work with a big-bodied quarterback like Daniel Jones, who can also tuck the ball in and run. I think he had 1,000 career rushing yards in college. And then it could work with Shepard, Tate, and Evan Ingram. Like, he fits the immediate need. And I'm not saying that the Mannings had nothing to do with this. We can all say that the Cutcliffe connection is real.
Yep.
Like, the Maras love Eli Manning. But if I was a general manager of the Giants, I wouldn't make that pick. I wouldn't take a quarterback. But I understand what Dave Gettleman was doing. That's all I'm saying.
We'll get to Gettleman probably in the next podcast because I think we need to start looking at Gettleman a little bit more closely here with some of the picks that he's made and some of the moves he's made lately. But that's a different story for a different day. Sometimes in the NFL, you can see failures a mile away. You can see Tim Tebow. You can see Johnny Manziel. And this kid reminds me of those kids and how quickly he's going to fail, right? And why do I say that? Let's look at his attributes, right? So he is a good athlete, and I'm not going to be biased. I'm not going to give you just his negatives, right? I'm going to give you his positives as well. He's a good athlete, right? He has good size. He can run, right? Now, the one issue is people are mistaking his training for his skill set. And what do I mean? What do I mean by that? He's been trained by David Cutcliffe, right? So he knows how to read the progressions. He knows how to move his feet. So the training is there, but the skill set isn't there, right? His accuracy was 54.3 completion rating against the ACC. Like, that's below 60%. A lot of quarterbacks that go to the NFL that have lower than 60% completion rating in college usually fail. The only exception being Matt Ryan. He was the only one that was at 59 point something. It was close to 60%. On top of that, his release is average. He has bad decision-making skills at some points. And then finally, he's prone to fumbling as well. So there's a lot of good and a lot of bad as well. All of that doesn't equate to the 6th overall pick. That's my biggest issue, is the fact that they went with the number 6 overall pick. A lot of people like Todd McShay had him going at pick 59. Todd McShay called him a career backup. And the Giants decided to take him at the number 6 overall pick, and the next day sit there and say, this could be somebody that can sit behind Aaron Rodgers. Couldn't sit behind Eli Manning for 3 years in the Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre mold, right? You just picked a guy at number 6 overall, and they're going to sit for 3 years behind. It's
Dave Gettleman. You need to take. I'm not trying to step on you. I'm going to say this, and you can finish your bet.
Yeah.
It's Dave Gettleman. He also said he was going to take the best player available, and I'm going to hit on that bit in a minute.
So Dave Gettleman is just full of shit. From what we've learned, he's completely full of shit. He has no idea what the fuck he's doing. He has some. Dave Gettleman's one of those guys where he will tell you he's the smartest guy in the room, and I have people that always do that. He always touts his, I've been to these many Super Bowls, and you listen to his interviews, you'll see immediately what I'm talking about. He will tell you how smart he is. When in reality, you let Josh Norman walk, you let Steve Smith walk, now you let Odell Beckham Jr. walk, and you took Daniel Jones. Like, there's a lot there that says that he isn't that good of a GM. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Now, my final thing is, this is the most glaring stat of all. He threw for 52 touchdowns in 3 years, when Dwayne Haskins threw for 50 in 1 year, with a 70% completion rating. And that Ohio State offense is not just dink and dunk underneath. I've seen that offense for a whole year, and it was a lot of shots downfield as well.
And Daniel Jones was taking shots down the field too.
And he ended up with 70% completion rating. So I just don't understand it. As a Giant hater, I am super happy they took it. They took Daniel Jones because I do not see this working out one bit. But that's just my personal, biases coming into play here.
So where do you want me to start? You want me to start with the accuracy? You want me to start with Gettleman? You want me to start with the pick?
The accuracy part, I gave you the numbers that were against the ACC because I know the first thing you're going to say is his receivers dropped the ball and the competition.
It doesn't matter if he's playing the ACC, the SEC, the Big Sky. If your wide receivers can't catch the fucking ball, you can't catch the ball.
And my rebuttal to that is, then why was he at Duke in the first place?
Because he wanted to be with Cutcliffe.
He had a 0-star rating come out of high school. He was not good enough to go to Alabama or Ohio State where he had those wide receivers. This kid has been average from day one, whether it's high school, college, or now the pros. There's a reason why he was at Duke with a 0-star rating come out of high school.
Right. And my rebuttal to that, I guess, would say, and I'm going to lump Todd McShay in with that. When was Tom Brady taken?
Pick 199.
199. What round is that? That's what? That
Pick
was a
six.
compensatory pick.
Pick
right?
six, yep.
So would
Six
McShay
around,
say that Tom Brady would be a career backup at that point?
Correct. You're right. You're right.
Okay. So the draft pick itself doesn't matter. It clearly doesn't. It doesn't matter. And there were also reports.
I just want to point one thing out. Tom Brady had a better college career than what's his name, Daniel Jones. If you look at, and I looked at this because a lot of people were like, well, Peyton Manning and Eli Manning and Tom Brady weren't the best in college as well. Those guys' numbers and just what they did in general was far better than what Daniel Jones did in
and
college.
then you look at Drew Brees, who's we can all agree is a first round Hall of Famer, was taken in the second round and his arm was knocked. I'm not saying, you can't compare Brees' height with him because he's a fucking 6'7" behemoth and played basketball, but his arm strength's being criticized. So again, the draft pick doesn't matter. And if you look at the draft this year, 24 to 12 hours before the draft, the Redskins were rumored to want to trade up. So you're either trading up to 3 to the Jets or you're trading up to 8 to the Lions to get your quarterback. And the room was split. Dan Snyder wanted Haskins because, I can agree, out of the class, Haskins is the purer thrower. We can all agree to that.
He's a purest thrower. He's the purest thrower.
But I think a lot of teams were turned off. I'm not a scout. Listen, I'm saying this. I'm not trying to piss you off. I am not a scout for the Giants. I'm not a scout for the Redskins.
No, that's fine.
I'm not a scout for the Broncos.
Yeah.
But what I am saying is I think a lot of teams were turned off by the lack of mobility, not just in the pocket, but by actually moving the sticks and the fact that he only played for 1 year. But I think Kyler Murray, whatever.
I think that's just something they use to knock Haskins for a different reason. I don't know what the different reason is. I'm not trying to paint this into something more than it is, but there's a reason why they decided to use that point to go against him, right? That, hey, he's not very mobile when the last 10 quarterbacks that won the fucking Super Bowl are Tom Brady, Big Ben, and Peyton Manning. Yeah, the one person that could run was Russell Wilson that actually won a Super Bowl.
Even if you look early in the careers, Tom Brady was more mobile. He would actually run.
He was not more mobile than Dwayne Haskins.
Dude, he had no
he is not more mobile than Dwayne Haskins.
I didn't step on you. Let me finish my thought. Brady, when he was early in his career, could tuck the ball in enough to get the first down. And Big Ben relied on his athleticism the first 2 years, especially under Bruce Arians at times. Now, where was my fucking point? Where the hell did I lead off?
The mobility part?
The mobility part.
Yeah. Because that was a big issue. I'm sorry to cut you off there, but that was a big sticking point for a lot of scouts and what they're reporting.
And listen, again, I'm not trying to make you mad, Jay.
No, I'm not. Listen. I don't want to construe me being mad here. I'm just saying, I don't understand it. I just don't understand it.
Right, but it's saying something. If John Elway and the Denver Broncos turn their nose up at you at 10 and they want a franchise quarterback, I'm not knocking Dwayne. Out of the 4 or 5 that were drafted, Dwayne's the purest passer. But the lack of mobility is real. And there was also rumors that, like I said, Washington was going to trade up. If Washington traded up to 3 and Snyder wanted Haskins, the rest of the coaching staff wanted Jones. Like the scouts, the assistant coaches, the head coach, Jay Gruden, they wanted Jones. They thought he was the most pro-ready quarterback. So if they take him at 3, the whole draft's off. They're probably not going to take a quarterback. If they trade up to 8, he's not going to fall to 17. If you have the 6th pick, and if you're taking a quarterback in the first round, a lot of people, including Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated, and I guess you could say I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, if you're going to tie your job security to a first-round quarterback, don't get cute. Take him at 6. You don't know what's going to happen at 7. You don't know what's going to happen at 17. And if you draft him, you draft him at 6 compared to 17. The cap hit at 6 is $4.65 million. At 17, it's $2.4 million. At that point, you're only buying fucking cap space. So if you like the guy enough to tie your job to him, God bless you. Take him at 6.
Yeah. And just to wrap all this up, Daniel Jones against the ACC last year was he was the 7th leading passer in the ACC last year, right? In the last 3 years against ACC competition, he was at 54 completion rating. He was 7 of 17 when he was a 3-year starter, when he knew the offense, when he got the best coaching possible. And that's a real thing we should discuss. Will there be any better coaching in the NFL than David Cutcliffe? Will he get better coaching than David Cutcliffe in the NFL?
Keep in mind, Cutcliffe brought Duke from a cellar in the ACC to about a almost 500 career record in football. So,
yeah, I mean, it's a cake schedule. He had great coaching. The only real team in the ACC is Clemson, right?
Well, Clemson, Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech hasn't been the best in a long time, dude. Since
hey,
Frank Beamer left a few years ago.
He was playing against Tremaine Edmonds in Virginia Tech, and he was taken in the first round.
And the reason why I feel so strongly about this is because I've lost a lot of faith in college football over this pick. You're told if you go to the Oklahomas, right, like Kyler Murray, or the Ohio States or the Alabamas, and you go then you light it up with 50 touchdowns in a year, they'll come calling for you. But this is the exception where the Manning family and just their word of mouth, and they can just vouch for you, can leapfrog Daniel Jones in front of Drew Lock and Dwayne Haskins. It's not just Dwayne Haskins got fucked here. Drew Lock also got fucked here as well. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Drew Lock has a better arm, played in the SEC against better competition with same exact numbers. We can say this, that both Drew Lock and Daniel Jones have the same exact numbers for the most part, right? The issue is one of them plays in the SEC, Drew Lock, with better competition.
Right. Now, two things, and I swear to God, we could move on from this friggin' point, was one, in your own mock draft, you compared him to the team not knowing if he's going to be Pat Mahomes or Jay Cutler.
Yeah, exactly.
And so if that's the immediate comparison, and a lot of people already had Daniel Jones being the air quote most pro-ready out of this entire quarterback group, why would you tie your job to a guy that's either going to be literally boom or bust? Pat Mahomes on Madden or smoking Jay Cutler?
Yeah. Well, I think Jay Cutler had a couple good years in there, right? Here and there, right?
Well, with Adam Gase for 1
enough
year.
to keep him around for that many years.
The toughness was a question. And
regardless, I'm just really chapped about the fact that not just Dwayne Haskins, but Drew Lock also got fucked here as well.
Right,
for the most part.
And then to your point of like the college football. Okay, so you got the powerhouses. You got Michigan. You got Oklahoma. You got LSU. You got Texas. You got USC. You got all that shit.
Ohio State as well.
And then you have Ohio State. No offense. I'm not trying to dig you.
Yeah.
They're not known as a quarterback producing school. We can agree to that.
Correct. We're not.
We can agree to that. But then 2 years ago, you have Mitch Trubisky taken out of North Carolina ahead of Deshaun Watson at Clemson.
Yep.
And then you have him taking ahead of Pat Mahomes at Texas Tech. I think they were running the air raid back then too.
Yep.
So it doesn't, in my opinion,
but Mitch Trubisky's numbers weren't this bad though. That's the issue here. Is he didn't have 54% completion rating. You know what I'm saying? Even though he came out of a shittier ACC conference as well, he didn't have just these horrendously bad numbers. You know.
I hear you. Listen, if I'm the general manager, I'm going to be honest with you. If I'm the general manager, I'm taking the best player available. And I didn't like any quarterback in this class.
Yep.
But clearly they like someone enough to tie their jobs to.
Sure. And Dave Gettleman better hit this out of the park, homie.
Well,
he better hit this out of the park.
Here's the thing. I'm not saying this because Gettleman is a Boston guy and he comes from my part of the world and all this other stuff. But he does have a track record where we have to see how it plays out because he was part of 2 Super Bowl winning staffs with the Giants under Ernie Accorsi. He took over a horrendous cap situation with the Panthers where they were signing everyone left and right to long-term contracts. And he had to essentially come in and be the prick and cut people and purge the cap. And in 3 years, 2 years, he brought the team to the Super Bowl. He wasn't fired for lack of, scouting and talent knowledge. He was fired for being an asshole in the locker room.
Yeah.
So I'm not questioning his talent. And I'm not even here's the biggest thing is I'm not even a Giants fan, and I'm defending Dave Gettleman's pick.
Yeah, I don't know why, but that's
so just unless I'm looking at the wrong. If anyone has tape that I'm missing, send it to me.
Yeah.
Brando_Puma on Twitter. Send it to me and I'll watch it.
Yeah. Regardless, Dave Gettleman, listen, they better win and they better win quick because he is at the beginning stages of being on the hot seat. And what do I mean by that? When you have the national uproar of you got nothing in return for Odell Beckham Jr. except for a first-round pick.
First or third, Jabril Peppers.
It doesn't matter what actually happened. It's about what the narrative is. What was the narrative after that? What was the narrative after that Odell Beckham Jr. trade? What did the New York City headlines say? What? That's all?
What else are you going to get?
All right, and then after the Daniel Jones pick, there was also a narrative of who the fuck is going on here? Who is this guy? When that narrative keeps spinning over and over again, that's when the begins the hot seat happens, when the media gets wind of who you are and why are you making these picks. Most people don't know what GMs are, but now that you know Dave Gettleman's name, it's an issue in itself. And if he doesn't win quickly, that hot seat's going to come hard, dude.
You say hot seat, but here's the thing. The Maras have a hard-on for the Manning family. The Tisches have a hard-on for the Manning family. Yeah. When they fired the previous GM, they brought Ernie Accorsi back to help find them a new general manager, and he tabbed Dave Gettleman. Clearly, the front office and the ownership group is in bed with this pick.
Sure.
So listen, and here's another point. The Giants could have taken Kyler Murray if he fell. They could have taken Jonah Williams at offensive line, which to me would have made a world of sense because that offensive line is a sieve. They could have taken another wide receiver. They could have taken a fucking punter at 6. And the Giant fan base would not be happy with that pick.
I don't know, dude.
Even if they used it
I
on
don't
the
know.
17th. You're telling me if they took Jonah Williams at 6, they would have been happy about that. You're telling me Jeff wouldn't need fucking Tums on my couch.
I think they'd been happy
if they took Jonah Williams.
I think they would have been happy with Dwayne Haskins. I know 3 Giants fans in my life, right? 2 of them are real people, and one of them is Max Kellerman on TV. All 3 of them, whether it was my brother Fawad, whether it was Ian Foley, or whether it was Max Kellerman, all 3 of them wanted Dwayne Haskins Jr.
Ian said he was on board with Daniel Jones, rather.
Before that, he's going to defend the pick now no matter what. But before that draft, I talked to him, and he said he wanted Dwayne Haskins, right? So he's being the good, I'm a Giants fan, let me go with the team kind of thing. But there are people out there that legitimately were like, we'll take Dwayne Haskins, they've been happy with that. So, listen, only time will tell. But, dude, this looks like a bust from a mile away. You can see Tebow. You can see Johnny Manziel from a mile away. And this kid screams that. He screams that. So, we'll see what happens.
But then you have the GOAT that was 199 for the 6th compensatory pick. The draft pick doesn't matter.
It doesn't, but it'll give you a good indication. Now, Tom Brady was the exception to the rule. There are exceptions to the rule, and that's the one pick in the 100-year history of the NFL that worked out fine. And if it's the second time it's going to happen, it's totally fine. I will sit here in 10 years and say I was wrong about that, but odds are it's not going to work out.
You know what? He fits the offense. He fit Pat Shurmur. And if they could run that with Case Keenum, who at that time was on his 7th team, this kid. And listen, I'm going to go on record here and say that if they're 5-5 or below by their Week 11 bye week, you will see DJ Week 12 and moving forward.
Already got a nickname for him, DJ?
Eli Manning already came out and canceled his WFAN.
I saw that.
He already canceled his WFAN weekly interview spot with Mike Francesa. So he already knows the writings on the wall. He fits the offense. He can run. He takes pressure off the offensive line. He hits the underneath routes.
Yeah.
Fine by me.
Cool.
Have at it.
All right, so only time will tell with that, and we'll revisit that as the years go on, right?
Yeah.
Moving on to winners and losers, I have one big loser. That was the Giants, and I'm not going to go back into that, but I think it's a complete bust of a draft for them. So I won't revisit my losers, but my 3 winners are the Broncos, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Patriots, right? The Broncos being, and I'll list mine real quick and then you can go through yours.
Right.
The Broncos got the 3rd best quarterback in the draft, in Drew Lock in the 2nd round. They obviously, Drew Lock being the 3rd best quarterback after Kyler Murray and Dwayne Haskins. They got Noah Fant in round 1 at 20, pick number 20.
They traded down.
They moved back from 10 to 20 to pick Noah Fant, and they still got him, so it was great. He, like I said, I love that kid. I wanted him for the Patriots. He's going to be great. They got a steal in the offensive line category with Dalton in round 2. And finally, they got Draymond Jones from Ohio State, his defensive line, and he played opposite of Nick Bosa. And every single time I would watch Ohio State, if it wasn't Nick Bosa, this kid was jumping off my screen as well. So Denver Broncos, great draft. Where to go? You know what I'm saying? Besides the fact that they, like I said, Elway always falls in love with the quarterback and picks him too high. This was perfect where he got him in the 2nd round, just exactly where he should have been. The other person the other team that won was Jacksonville. They let the draft come to them. They didn't actually go on press. And what do I mean by that? Josh Allen fell to them at number 7. They took him, right? Josh Allen, probably one of the best linebackers / defensive linemen out there. He fell to them at number 7. On top of that, they moved up from 30 to 35 to take offensive tackle Jawan Taylor, which is going to help out Nick Foles. And Jawan was supposed to be somebody that's going to be going in the first round at pick 7 to them, but he fell all the way to the second round. On top of that, they took the Temple running back Raekwon Armstead and Quincy Williams at 98, who is a great speed linebacker / safety hybrid. He's going to fit really well into their system. Finally, the Patriots, they had a very typical Patriots draft. They got great value. They took N'Keal Harry at 32. He's a wideout from Arizona State University who is a great, big physical threat outside the numbers. He can go out there. He can run the route tree. He can high point the ball. Think of him as being a Gronk, but quicker / lighter. He doesn't have the mass and the bulk that Gronk has, but he is quicker in that regard. In the second round, they took a cornerback out of Vanderbilt, Williams, which is a steal. And then also out of the team up north, Chase Vinovich at number 77. And finally, running back Damian Harris out of Bama, who I think we talked about this off the podcast, is going to fill out that insanely crowded backfield in New England with James White, Sony Michel, Damian Harris, Rex Burkhead. Just a bunch of great versatile guys that can line up in the slot, that can line up in the backfield, and you really don't know what's going to happen. And the reason why I took another running back here is because going forward, they're going to try to protect Brady as much as possible with the running game and then do the play action fake and N'Keal Harry over the top.
Right. No, I'm going to double down a little bit on the Patriots because I actually had them as I didn't really do like winners or losers, but teams that stood out more to me in the draft, and the Patriots were my second team actually on that list. And not only did they get a big body, they addressed the critical need at pass catchers. Sure. Like once you get past Edelman, the only other person that sticks out to me is Dorsett, and we all know like
that's not even a stick out.
I think he caught, but that's a fact. The depth chart is Dorsett's the only one that stuck out. You get a big body guy. He was the first wide receiver taken in the first round since '96 when it was Terry Glenn.
Terry Glenn, yep.
And that was even before the Bill Belichick era.
Sure, yep.
So. He's a big body. He can get the 50-50 balls. Brady can just chuck it up there and know that 9 times out of 10, Harry's going to come down with the ball. Yep. And we were talking about this off camera. A comp would be a young Jimmy Graham in New Orleans.
Yep, you're right.
Like he's built like him. He's not a prototypical wide receiver, but he's not like, he's not friggin' Jeremy Shockey lining up a tight end.
Think Julio Jones, just not as quick.
Right. That's fair too. And you know what? We don't know if Josh Gordon's able to come back. Mm-hmm. And I would like to think, after my soapbox on Tyreek Hill, that Josh Gordon's going to be coming back this year before Tyreek Hill. Yeah. So whatever bonus you get from Josh Gordon with this N'Keal Harry kid instantly elevates this wide receiver pass-catching core from flatline to a threat in not just the AFC East, because I've already made my bones at the AFC East this week, but this is probably one of the most elite pass-catching cores in the entire NFL if Josh Gordon's able to come back with this N'Keal Harry kid. Yep. And then you line up, say, James White in the slot, and you have Harry and Josh Gordon and Julian Edelman out there.
Austin Seferian-Jenkins as well.
And ASJ. Exactly. He had
I like that, ASJ. It's too hard saying his full name.
Right. That's a very, very dangerous offensive attack in the entire NFL. Mm-hmm. So I really like that pick.
And I didn't even think about that until you brought it up in pre-production with the Josh Gordon angle. If he can come back and contribute, oh my God, dude.
Right.
My God.
Even if he he's been in that offense long enough. Hell, even if you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers tape last year when they were in Pittsburgh, all the coverage was going towards him. Yep. And then you had the underneath, and then you had the post route and the streak routes open, because he just dragged all the coverage, and they weren't even looking at him. Mm-hmm. But you have to take account of him on the field. So that's going to open everything up for this Harry kid. I'm really bullish on that pick by the Patriots. Yep. Shocker enough. Uh-huh. And that Vinovich kid, he's a character and a half. He was hilarious on Good Morning Football. But we were talking about this off camera, that he had a higher production than the
Rashawn Gary.
Rashawn Gary. Yep. And he was taken by the Packers at 10?
Yeah, it was in the second round somewhere. Actually,
No, he was taken first. He was taken the first round by the Packers.
No. Wait, Chase Vinovich was at number 7.
Vinovich was later, but he had better stats.
Yeah. Right. Sean Gary was. Yeah, he was first round. Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So
that's the ultimate Patriots pick. The guy that was the star on that defensive line in Michigan didn't get drafted for the Patriots, but that secondary player that's just right there, but is producing just as well, is the one they got at the third round.
Right. So. Y'all had a great draft.
We had a great draft.
It was really good.
I am happy. I am excited. They took a offensive tackle, I believe, in round 6 or 7, just to help our Brady some more.
Right.
But dude, I am super happy with the draft. If Gordon can just give us a little bit of contribution, just going after being a decoy, where you got a game plan for him from week to week.
That's all you need to do.
This offense could be amazing.
Right. And the team. Do you have any more teams?
I'm good. I got my winners and losers out of the way. It's all you, bro.
So the teams I'm bullish on, shocker, the Buffalo Bills. I've been bullish on them all year.
Before you get to that, I just want to say the AFC East made some amazing moves this offseason. Yep. Dude, I know everybody jokes about the AFC East.
But they really showed it up.
The Jets, the fucking Dolphins with Josh Rosen now. They got the Bills with all their picks. Dude, it's not going to be a cakewalk for the Patriots anymore. So go ahead.
It's a hard-hitting AFC
It's a hard-hitting, yeah.
So the Bills, I mean, they got Ed Oliver at, I believe it was pick number 9. He turns this sneaky good defense into a legitimate threat at times now because you partner him with Tremaine Edmonds, who was their first-round pick last year, and then he can play nose tackle, but I think in Buffalo they're going to go more 4-3, so he's going to be lined up with the center. He can shake off double teams. We all saw the tape with him and Mike Vrabel. I'm just going to leave that at that. And then down the line, if you wanted to move him out to linebacker, you could because he's got the speed to keep up underneath in coverage. Yep. So that's a great pick. They took my tight end I've been bullish on, Dawson Knox. He's a smart kid. He's a big-bodied guy. He's going to be a great weapon in the red zone for Josh Allen. I think they took a couple offensive guards to protect Josh Allen, too, so now he doesn't have to tuck the ball in and run all the time. He can throw it to his streaky guys like John Brown and hit Cole Beasley underneath. So I'm really bullish on that team. The Jets, all I got to say is they took the best player in the draft, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. They took Quentin Williams. Greg Williams is now going to come at the entire AFC East with exotic blitz packages. He can drop in coverage if he wanted to. He can dissect plays before they're even snapped. Y'all heard me on my draft analysis of him. It's a great pick with him. I already said my bit about the Patriots. The Steelers, they addressed a super critical need, and that was at linebacker. And it was critical enough that they had to trade up 10 spots with Denver to get, I believe it was Devin Bush. Devin Bush.
Out of Michigan.
Yeah, the team up north. They addressed the linebacker hole left when Ryan Shazier left out. He's super versatile. He's super quick to the ball. He's great in coverage. This is what the Steelers do. They always rebuild on defense, and you start with the quarterback of the defense with the linebacker. So that's a great move. I already made my bones about the Giants with Daniel Jones.
Just to cut you off there, they took a kid out of Toledo, the wide receiver. Yeah. I absolutely love him as well. They know how to draft wide receivers and develop them. That's been documented. Yeah. But that kid out of Toledo, I'm forgetting his name right now. Quick, he's gonna be a star.
Right.
Go ahead.
Where they take him in the 6th round? Because that's where they took.
Dude, it was not even that. It was not even that down low. It was like 2nd or 3rd, maybe. I forget his name, but that wide receiver is going to be good.
Okay, all right. So besides Daniel Jones, the other picks that I liked by them was what the frig? I had it right here. They took Dexter Lawrence at 17. So forever, Dexter Lawrence is going to be connected to the OBJ trade. But Gettleman got his big body guy. Gettleman went back to the well. He went back to his roots. He's got amazing speed for 300-plus pounds. I think Daniel Jeremiah compared him to Haloi Nata, blowing up offensive coverages. He can blow up protection. He blocking techniques. He's a good find at 17 for what it is. And then they addressed cornerback. Cornerback in the secondary has been a friggin' abyss for that team for the longest time. And they got, in some opinions, the best cornerback on the board at DeAndre Baker. They traded back in the 1st round. Personalities, like I said, I think he's the best in the class. He brings an edge to that team. You're going to need that in the NFC East, going against Washington and Dallas and Philadelphia. And he's great in press coverage. He's not a burner, but he has enough speed to keep up with his target and foot quickness to keep him tight in coverage. And their defensive coordinator, I'm spacing on his name, so you can at me in the comments. He's going to bring blitz packages involving cornerbacks, and DeAndre Baker fits that. And my last team, and I swear to God I'm going to get off the soapbox, is my Miami Dolphins.
I loved it. Dude, great
They
picks.
had a great move.
Great draft.
The first pick, they took Christian Wilkins, who not only is a big personality, we saw that with his tape with Roger Goodell. That was the only time, I think I hit up J_Boots on Instagram, and I said, that was the only time where I thought Roger Goodell was purely scared for his life, but at the same time, super ecstatic for how this kid was feeling being drafted first overall. He's a great pick for a rebuilding team. He's a locker room leader right off the bat for a team that the last 2 years under Adam Gase was knocked for having a toxic locker room. Like, it was us versus them. It was us versus the coach. It was us versus Tannehill. And now that's gone, and you have a cornerstone you can build around. He can line up at defensive end or defensive tackle. Amazing speed and strength, quick hands. In my opinion, he could be a face of a franchise like Zach Taylor or Jason Taylor. That's it on Christian Wilkins. Yep. And we got Josh friggin' Rosen.
Dude, where'd he go? I'm happy for you, brother.
I've been banging that drum since Tannehill was traded. Yep. We didn't overpay. They wanted a second round pick. We had the 48th. We traded down to, I think it was like the 62nd overall pick, and we gave them a 2020 fifth rounder after we traded with the Saints to get a second rounder next year. We got him on the cheap. The Cardinals paid most of his bonus. We're only on the hook for $6 million over the next 3 years. In my opinion, he has the second best arm out of that draft class last year. I think a lot of good things are going to come with Flores. And I'm even going to go on a fantasy aspect. If Rosen is able to start with that arm, you're probably going to want to look out for Rosen on the waiver wires, and you're going to want to look out for Kenny Stills because he's going to want to throw the ball deep. That Dolphins defense with Wilkins, it's still a work in progress. They're going to be in shootouts. You're going to want to have the deep threat. They're going to want to be throwing the ball all over the field.
Dude, I was happy for you.
It.
I was happy for you, man. And then the Dolphins had a great tactic where they didn't overpay for him. No. They let Rosen come to them, simply put.
We drove the market.
Yep.
I texted you this. I said, listen, best case, we get Rosen on the cheap. Worst case, we wait till 2020.
Yep.
We're in the driver's seat at this
now
point.
You can do both. Simply put, you got him on the cheap for $6 million over the next 3 years?
Over the next 3 years.
On top of that, if he doesn't work out in a year, you can tank for 2 or whatever that, or
Herbert or whatever.
Whoever it is. But no, I was genuinely happy for Rosen himself because dude's been through a lot. Yeah. He's been through the fucking ringer. He didn't get a fair shake, man. Right. When he came out of the draft last year, I didn't see it. I thought it was cocky, but it seems like he has kind of humbled over the year.
A lot.
That
goodbye video.
Yeah, I saw the goodbye video, and I was like, dude, you know what? I'm on his side now. That video right there just made me change my mind on who he is as a person and what he's become. On top of that, an article came out that he actually stayed in Arizona a day extra to go to Larry Fitzgerald's softball charity game, and everybody was standing up and clapping for him.
Can we even talk about the Instagram comment that David Johnson put on his post? When he said fins up. And David Johnson straight up said, less than 24 hours after they took Kyler Murray first, to Josh Rosen, at Josh Rosen with the 3 in the middle. You're going to be one of the greats when it's said and done.
Listen, I'm not a Dolphins fan, and obviously being in the AFC East, I don't like them one bit. I hope they lose every single game. But when they're not playing the Patriots, I'm rooting for Josh Rosen. Yep. I hope he's in. I hope he's slinging the ball. I hope he's making Arizona and Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury look like stupid morons, you know? So I hope for nothing but the best for Josh Rosen, man.
And real quick to wrap up the Dolphins, my homer aspect, is we did the ultimate Patriot thing. And we stocked up on 2020 draft picks. Not only do we have compensatory picks because we signed Fitzpatrick to X amount of contract, and we paid for Tannehill to go to the Titans, we also got draft picks from the Saints. We got a bunch of other draft picks. This team is something to watch.
I am not going to.
We looked at the schedule. To me, 8-8 would be bullish, but I got for once, this was a great draft by the Dolphins, and I got good vibes by this team.
Dude, no, absolutely not. I see a different perception. When I saw they just sat there and let Josh Rosen come to them, that was pure.
They didn't panic.
That was pure Patriots 101 right there with Brian Flores, who's the head coach of the Dolphins, came from the New England Patriots.
Greer, I forget his name, but Greer, they played the hand close to the chest. They were super cool about it, and they didn't let they controlled the market.
They did. They really did.
And if you look at it to bring it back to the Cardinals really screwed the pooch on this.
They did.
Because they traded Rosen before they even have Kyler Murray sign the friggin' contract. So now the power is with the player in Murray's camp where they can hold out and not have that baseball language in the contract. At least if they kept Rosen, they had that fucking security blanket. But now he's in South Beach with me, and I can't be happier. He gets to sit behind Ryan Fitzpatrick, a guy that's been there, done that. I'm stoked.
But the other point to that being, they did want to get that pick for the second round so they can use that pick to help Kyler Murray and the new.
I think they picked up a wide receiver.
Yeah, they picked up a wide receiver to help him out. I really like their pick a wide receiver. I forget the kid's name. I think he's out of Missouri. He's out of the middle of the. I forgot what college he was from, but yeah, man. No, truthfully, I am happy for Josh Rosen, man. He didn't get a fair shake. Hopefully, he succeeds, man.
Right.
So.
That's my bet. That's my winners and losers.
Yeah, same here, man. We went through our winners and losers, and that's really all I got as well, man. This is just one step closer to the NFL, you know?
Yeah, dude. Listen, we were talking off camera, but those Jet fans and Giant fans and guys up in the New England area, we're down to go to training camp to check out the Jets, check out the Giants. Anything within driving range, I got no problem if it's on a day off and it's open practice, baby. Let's go.
If Josh Rosen is starting when the Patriots played the Dolphins,
I'm not paying $200. Nope.
All right.
Nope.
Figure a shot.
I'll fly down to Florida and pay a cheaper price and at least work on my fucking tan.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, that's all we got. We're at an hour and 10 minutes long, and I got to get to a Game of Thrones showing in about
yeah, so let me plug
40 minutes.
So, Facebook, Instagram, Pro Football Radio Podcast, Twitter, PFR Podcast, myself, Brando_Puma, Cheema at Cheema on the Twitter. This is your podcast. If you have any takes, any comments, if you want to say, Brandon, you're a friggin' moron for the Daniel Jones bit, at me, Brando_Puma. If you got tape, DM me, put it in a comment. I don't care. That's my bit. This is brought to you by the Owl Shop. You want a good cigar, you go down to New Haven and you check out the cigar. You got staff that is willing to help you out with great booze and great cigar selection. They've been around since 1934. They're a good staff. That's my bit.
I was trying to go there last night after we got done with Heirloom, but it just didn't pan out. But I was trying to go down there and do a little cigar action.
We should have.
It's okay, though. Next time we're down there, we'll...
Next time, especially because we keep plugging them for the last 3 episodes. So,
yeah.
That's my bit, Jay.
The only bit I have left is, You're fired!
Hang on, Freddie, this is for you, my friend. Freddie Soliotis, you're fired!
Look at him!
On that note, vaya con Dios, y'all.